Hey everybody, I hope you're having a great day. Before we get started with today's video, I want to thank everybody. We've hit 17,600 subscribers. This channel is growing, and it's all thanks to you. Those of you who watch the channel, and those of you who have become members to the channel. And speaking of that, I want to remind everybody that you can become a member to eBuzz Central for just 99 cents a month. Beginning January of 2023, the VIP, MVP, and Pro levels will all disappear, and those perks will transfer down to the eBuzz Central member. It's just 99 cents, a good way to support a channel you like, and of course support the content that you trust. Now, on another note, I do want to thank my most recent member, which is Raver 3002. Raver, thank you so much for becoming a member to the channel. I just hope this channel keeps growing and I keep providing content that makes you want to join and be a part of the community. Now, as most of you know, I cover a lot of different Linux distros on my channel. I know you get tired of hearing me say that, but today what we're going to do is I put together a video of 4 Arch Linux distros I think we need to keep an eye on in 2023. It's basically going over some things that we've already looked at, but at the same time, it's something that if you're interested in Arch and interested in the direction that Arch is going, I do believe that this is definitely 4 distributions you should take a look at. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get to the video.
Hey everybody. Generally when I do my videos, rolling release distros are either adored or they're feared in equal measure. A large section of the Linux community and my viewers, particularly newbies, believe that these distros are only intended for people that know their way around command line or they're more quote-unquote experts. Now, in all fairness, the distros themselves have done very little to disabuse people of this belief. But contrary to the popular rolling release model, where you're required to install and set up every single application by yourself, Bluestar Linux, with its large selection of default apps, is ideal for advanced and, listen to me, new and newbie users. Now, Bluestar Linux is based on Arch Linux. You can get it in an installable ISO and you can run it in a live environment. And it's got some different editions, and I'm going to show those to you in a second. But here's the best part. I hear this a lot on a lot of the videos that I do. Is it available in 32-bit? Well, guess what? Bluestar is available in 32-bit. Now, if you go over here to their website to download it, it's only available on SourceForge. They don't have a big fancy website. If you come down here, it states Bluestar Linux is an Arch-based distribution built with the understanding that people want and need a solid operating system that provides a breadth of functionality and ease of use without sacrificing aesthetics. Bluestar is offered in 3 editions. Actually, it comes in a basic edition too. But you've got basic, desktop, desk pro, and developer. Now, each one of these comes with a specific amount of applications. So on basic, you get the basic apps, and then you're going to get more on desktop, more on desk pro, and then of course you're going to get a whole lot more on the developer. Now, each of these versions or spins of their distribution is tailored to address the needs of a variety of Linux users. Bluestar can be installed permanently, or you can use it in a live environment. And then you come down here, and it's got some screenshots of it. It's a very beautiful operating system. And it runs on the up-to-date kernel. Now, if you go over to Files, and you decide you want to zip over here and download it, you go down here, and it says Distro. Now, right here, it's just going to download your regular 64-bit full-blown ISO, which is 4.1 gigs. But if you click on Distro, you can come down here and it gives you some different versions here. You've got the 64-bit ISO right here, or you can go down here and you've got the 32-bit ISO right here. And it shows you what kernel, 5.19.7, but it's going to update to the new 6-point kernel because it did earlier on a machine that I installed it on. You just pick what version you want, whether it be 32 or 64-bit, and then you download it. I know what everybody's going to say, SourceForge, oh my lord. No, it didn't take that long. It downloaded rather quick for me, maybe 20 minutes. And the reason I say very quick is because for SourceForge, that is quick. So you download it, and then you can throw it on a USB or open it up in a virtual machine. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to zip on over to the Bluestar Linux desktop. And what you'll want to do is pick however you want to boot it up. I'm going to go ahead and go boot Bluestar Linux. We'll hit that and let it start booting. and it will run through all of its pre-checks. And we should get a little bit of a boot screen here. There we go. Plasma, made by KDE. And once it finally boots up, whether you've got it in a VM or whether you're booting it from a USB, this is your desktop. Now this is based on KDE. This is a Latte dock, by the way. Then you come up top, you've got a little hidden area right here. This has got your app menu. So all your apps will show up right here. And then you've got time, you've got power, you got a little calculator right here. Then you got a little resource monitor right here. Let you know you're using about 2% of your CPU and about 800 megs of RAM. I've got 3 gigs issued to it. You've got Octopi right here. You've got your sound, battery, USB, networks, and then you've got your hidden menus right here. Now that we've looked at that, we'll come down and you'll see something a little different on your desktop. You do have the home widget, which has all your home folders right here on the desktop. And then of course, install Bluestar Linux right here, which is the Calamares installer. Now, if you open this up, I'm gonna go ahead and show this to you real quick and show you some of the options that you have. There are no partitions, we're not going to install it, but if you go to install it, you've got a basic install, you've got a desktop, desk pro, and developer. Now this really goes however you want to do it, but here's what I do recommend. If you pick desktop, desk pro, or developer, it tries to update the system while you're installing it. So that means it'll go ahead and install the basic system, then a separate window will open up and it will go through the updates all over here. And it does take longer if you do it this way. So this is what I recommend. If you want to do a basic install, and before you do that, you want to go ahead and go up top and turn your Wi-Fi off so it doesn't try to ask you any more questions about updating while you're installing. And then once you restart, you can do all your updates from there. And then you're going to go through your regular things that you do when you install a Linux distribution, whether it be location, keyboard, partitions, users, look and feel, summary, install, and finish. Now I'm going to go ahead and close out of Calamares. And yes, I want to close. And then come down here and you've got things like Dolphin, Console, GIMP, VLC, LibreOffice Writer, FileZilla, Thunderbird, Firefox, Pigeon, System Settings, and then Trash Can. Now you can right click right here and go ahead and configure desktop and wallpaper. And it'll bring all the wallpapers you have up. Now this does have quite a few different wallpapers on it, and they are nice. Some of them are your base KDE wallpapers, and then some of them are your Bluestar Linux wallpapers. You'll notice them, especially if you've had any time in KDE. But if you scroll down and let's say we wanted something like that, let's go ahead and apply that. That's a pretty nice looking wallpaper. And then I do like the black one that is the Arch logo myself. Let's go ahead and look at that one. I really like that one. I think I'll leave that one there. Now we'll close out of that. And like I said, you've got your home widget over here. Documents down. Let's say you wanted to open up something in downloads. Just click on it. And it would open up Dolphin right there on the screen for you. And you guys have used Dolphin or you've seen other videos where I've covered Dolphin. It's a nice file manager. I also like the theme that you're using here. I think it's not all up in your face. It's kind of a subdued theme, and you don't have white text. You got more of a white yellowish text. My eyes feel a little better with things like that. You may totally hate it, but that's the beauty of KDE. You can set this up any way you like. So we will close out of Dolphin. Now I do want to go up here and show you Octopi. You've got Octopi up here. Let's go ahead and open it up. And right here it says the following packages need to be retrieved. Total download size 1.29 gigabytes. Let's go ahead and make this bigger. I'm going to confirm. No, I'm not going to confirm that. What I want to do is just go look at Octopi. And it may make me update before I can show you how to actually use Octopi. And we're not going to do that. Now, if you've watched any of my previous videos that have Octopi on them, you'll know that once you run these updates, it'll install all of this. Now, this is everything right here. I told you that if you choose anything other than basic at your beginning install, it will try to install all of this while you're doing your preliminary install. So you don't want to do that. But once these are installed, you just come in here, and it's a lot like Synaptic Package Manager. You just type in the application that you're looking for, it'll find it, you mark it for installation, then apply, and it installs it. This does not come with PayMac, but you can install PayMac if you want to. That's completely up to you. Now I want to go back up here And let's look at some of the applications you get out of the box. Like it said, you're going to get a lot of applications out of the box because it wants to be more of a self-sufficient distro where when you open it up, you have everything you need at your fingertips. And if you don't have an internet connection, you can still get a lot of work done. So you've got a lot of development tools right here. Now, you don't need to have these. If you don't want them, you, of course, can clean them out and not use them. Education, games, graphics, Digicam, GIMP, LibreOffice Draw, Ocular, Internet. You've got FileZilla, Firefox, KGit, Conqueror, KTorrent, Multimedia, KMix, VLC. You can see that they keep a lot of more of the K programs on here. KAddress, Contact, KOrg, the full LibreOffice suite. Let's go ahead and see if this is going to open up for us. And I'm running it in a virtual machine. I've only given it 3 gigs of RAM. I want to see just how snappy it is with 3 gigs of RAM. And that's actually not too bad. Let's go ahead and close the release notes. And there you go. You're in LibreOffice and ready to do work. Now, one thing I do notice with the theme out of the box, it's kind of hard to see some of the things you have here in the background. Now, if I remember correctly, you can go over to Edit or under Options. I'm sorry. I'm sitting over here mumbling. View. Now, I think you can go with a different theme. We can go with probably, let's set that to dark and apply that and see if it gives us, see, there you go. You get lighter things so it makes it easier to see. So that's really just customizing it and getting it the way you want it set up. But Bluestar is a beautiful OS. I like the customizations and I like what they've done there. Now, let's go back up here. We were at Office, and then you've got your settings. Grub Customizer, Ice-T, NVIDIA X Server settings, should you have an NVIDIA card. And then System Settings. Let's go over to System Settings real quick. And of course, you've got your appearance. Now, what I want to do right here is I want to make that double click because I don't want it to open on a single click. And let's look at about this system. Yes, I want to apply that. And then we're going to go over here. It shows Arch Linux KDE Plasma 5.26, so it's not got the 5.26.1 update, which I'm sure it will once you do all your updates. Kernel version 6.0.1-Arch 2-1, and then it just says we're on an AMD Ryzen with Radeon graphics and 2.9 gigabytes of RAM. And then if you go up here, let's go to Appearance. Let's see what we got out of the box. You got several different looks you can get out of the box, so if we wanted to switch over to that, let's go ahead and apply it, and it switched over. And you get a little different layout on your widget for your folders. So I like that because it had them stacked a while ago, and then now it just goes completely across. So you can play around with that a little bit, especially if you're on a USB or you decide to actually install it. It gives you a little bit of a different look, but that's KDE. And I'm not going to go through all this. You guys know all these settings down here. You can adjust these and make these the way you want to. And I will close that. Let's go back up top. And it makes this bar, I think, just a hair wider as well. Yes, that looks a little wider. So I like that as well. We'll come back up top and we will come back down to System, Utilities. Look at System. You've got Dolphin, Gparted, K-System, Console, Octopi, Octopi Notifier, Pacman Log, Terminal, Xterm, Utilities, Lost and Found, Bluestar Linux Installer, Help, Please Donate, Power and Session. Now they do have a Please Donate button here. I don't have a problem with them putting it there. All the hard work they put in on the operating system and getting it looking the way it looks and keeping it up to date, that doesn't bother me. Now if it was a desktop icon that had it and you couldn't get rid of it, I would understand that. But that's hidden, that's out of the way, it doesn't bother me. But that is Bluestar Linux. It is a nice, clean operating system built with the K desktop environment. It's very beautiful, very functional, Arch based, rolling release, and it comes out of the box with all the applications you're probably going to need to do your daily work.
Reborn OS. It is an Arch spin that I think is probably one of the cleanest Arch spins that are out there, and one of the ways to really easily get into Arch if you have never tried it before. You can come to their website, which is rebornos.org. I'll be sure to put that link in the description below. And you've got download or more info. But what we're going to do real quick is we're going to go ahead and scroll down. And it lets you know right here why Reborn OS. Desktop and window managers. That's one of the first things they want to show. So I'm going to go ahead and view Showcase. And when you come over to the Showcase, it lets you know that it is available in KDE Plasma. Then you can scroll over. It's got GNOME, Deepin, Cinnamon, Cutefish, UKUI. That's a simple desktop environment. I've played with it a little bit, but I do want to cover it in an upcoming video. LXQT, XFCE, which when you download it is the standard desktop environment. And then when you install, you can choose what desktop you want to use. Mate, LXDE, Budgie, Enlightenment, OpenBox, i3, and then it comes back to KDE Plasma. So you have a lot of different desktops you can utilize with this operating system, which I think is really great. And then down here, you've got latest posts. What I'm going to do is go right back to where we were. It talks about their global community. You can join the community, endlessly customizable. You can select what software you want to use, what kernel you want to use, what desktop or window manager, and then it's always up to date because it is Arch-based. It is a rolling release, and you're always going to have the freshest packages that go along with Arch. And then if you come up to the top, you've got info, news, community, and donate. Now, if you click on download, it'll bring you over here. This is the latest ISO. And then they do have Reborn OS on ARM. And then you also have download mirrors down here that you can look at. And then frequently asked questions, installation guide, minimum system requirements. So it's a pretty comprehensive website. So I suggest if you go to take a look at it, kind of dig into the website and look at all the info that is available. Now, what we're looking at today is a version that was released on November 13th. So it's a little over 2 weeks old. And without any further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and get on over to the desktop. So if you download Reborn OS, throw it on a USB, or maybe open it up into a virtual machine, this is the screen you're going to be met with. Now, you do have the Reborn OS installer, and you've got two options here. Install online or install offline. Now, if you install it offline, you're going to be given the option to keep the XFC desktop environment. And then if you install it online, it's going to give you the ability to download whatever window manager or desktop environment you would like to use. That's what was covered earlier on the website that we just looked at. And then, of course, you've got links, utilities, about, and close. And then you've got your console right here that lets you know what's going on in the background as you do your install if you want to keep an eye on that. So if you installed online, you would just click on that, and it would bring up the familiar Calamares installer. Now, because I am in a virtual machine, you know it's going to say, hey, you're connected to the internet, not enough disk space, it's not plugged in, running the installer as administrator. But if you come over here and look at your options, let's go ahead and maximize this so you can kind of see it a little better. Welcome, location, keyboard, desktops, and window managers, advanced, partitions, users, summary, install, and finish. So if you do want to install this, it gives you quite a few options right there. Now, if you do like XFCE, just go ahead and install it with the offline tool. But if you want something like a KDE Plasma or maybe a Budgie, or maybe you want to give Reborn OS with the Deepin desktop environment a shot, go ahead with the online mode, and then you can select it over here with desktops and window managers. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. Yes, we do want to close, and let's go ahead and close that tool right there. And then you just come to the standard desktop. Now, if you right-click on the desktop, because it is XFCE, you get quite a few options right here. You got Create Launcher, Create URL Link, Create Folder, Open Terminal. Matter of fact, let's do Open a Terminal. Let's see if it's got NeoFetch out of the box. And it does. Let's go ahead and maximize that. Let's go ahead and make it a little bigger so you can see it. And it shows that it's Reborn OS Linux, VirtualBox, kernel 6.0.8-Arch1-1. So it does come with the Arch kernel, so it is more of a spin of Arch as opposed to a distribution. Shows that we've been up 3 minutes. Packages, we have 901. Got the ZSH shell, and then XFCE 4, 4.16.1, and then XF Window Manager 4. And it's running X11. Shows that I'm on an AMD Ryzen 5, and that pretty much gives you the information of what we're dealing with here. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and close out of that. We do know what's going on there. We will check resources here in just a little bit, but we want to come down to the bottom. You've got a bottom panel down here. You've got Show Desktop. You've got your date and time, sound, notifications, how much of your battery's left, internet, and then, of course, we have updates. And then right here was the installer that just popped up a while ago. It's minimized down here now. We don't need it, so I'm going to keep going. You have Gparted, and let's go ahead and open that terminal back up. Let's go ahead and maximize it, and let's go ahead and see if they have HTOP. They don't. So we will go ahead and go with top. Now, when top comes up, that'll give us an idea of what kind of resources we're using. Out of the 3 gigs I have issued to it, with just the terminal open, we're using about 518 megabytes, which is pretty light. It's about 300 lighter than what you would be setting with a KDE or maybe a GNOME desktop environment. They're running about 850, 900 at rest, so it's pretty lightweight. I have seen some that run down in the 300s and 400s, but for it being Arch, a rolling release, you're only using about a half a gig to be open. I don't think that's a problem at all. If you disagree with me, put something down in the comments below. So I'm going to go ahead and close this right here. Yes, we want to close the window. We got File Manager. This should be Thunar File Manager. Let's go ahead and maximize that. Go Help and About, and it is Thunar 4.16.11. Now, Thunar is a little less feature-rich than, let's say, like a Dolphin, but it's plenty to get your job done and get the work done that you need to do. You've got your usual suspects over here, and then, of course, your home folders right here. It's just a lightweight file manager that stays out of your way and lets you get things done. And, of course, you got Firefox out of the box as your primary web browser. Let's go ahead and open up the app menu. And we will go up here to all applications just so we can kind of see them all. You've got About, XFCE, Accessibility. You've got Add and Remove Software. So let's look at how we're going to add software to this OS. And if you're familiar with PayMac, you're going to be right at home right here because that's what you're looking at. Now, one of the first things you're going to want to do, especially if you install this, is you're going to want to come up here to the triple dots. Go ahead and open that up and come down to Preferences. Go ahead and click on that and go to Third Party. Now, if you're somebody that's been using Arch, you're going to want to enable the AUR. Now, if you're somebody that's leaving Manjaro and coming over to Reborn, you're going to have a little bit better feel and obviously a better experience using the AUR inside of Reborn for the simple fact that it doesn't hold packages back. You're going to get most up to date in the system, so you're going to have a lot less breaks that you're used to having when you're in something like a Manjaro. So you're going to want to enable this. And then another thing you're going to want to do is go over here and go ahead and check for updates. Keep that clicked. So that way, if there's an update in the AUR, it will pop up and let you know that you need to update an AUR package that you're using. And then come over here to General and just kind of look, and everything looks good there, and then close. And this is pretty self-explanatory. You could come up here, you just type in what you're looking for. So let's say we're looking for something like Kdenlive. Just click on it. It'll pop up right here. It shows you official repository. You just click download right here, and it'll say one pending operation. Now, if I were to click apply, it would pop up and say these dependencies need to go along with it. You click OK, and then it would install it on your system. Now, if you want to, you could go through here and pick everything that you wanted to download. Kdenlive, GIMP, Shotcut, whatever. Just make your big list. But I sometimes, unless it's a tool that actually comes with the operating system, I usually just download one package at a time, so that way I can kind of see if there is an issue, what package I'm having an issue with. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. Let's come back down here. You got Add and Remove, Appearance, Color Profiles, Default Applications, your desktop, Disk Usage Analyzer, Interface Designer, Mouse and Touchpad, Partition Editor, Power Manager, Reborn OS Fire, Reborn OS Kernel Manager. This is where you would go in and change a kernel if you wanted to. Offline Installer, Online Installer, Refresh Mirrors. You've got your System Profiler, Task Manager, Text Editor. You've got 2 web browsers. And you got your Window Manager and then your Window Manager tweaks. If you wanted to make some changes, you could open that up and come over here. How they cycle, focus, accessibility, workspaces, placement, compositor. There's just a lot of tools here that you can use. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of that. And another thing, I want to right click and let's go to Desktop Settings. And let's see what kind of wallpapers you get. Well, you only get 2 wallpapers out of the box. This is prior to install, so maybe you get some more after install. But if you have a folder that's already got your wallpapers in it, you're probably not too worried about that. But I do want to look at a different wallpaper just to look. And I actually kind of like that one a little better. I'm going to go ahead and close out of that, and I really like the way that looks. Reborn OS, newest release, looks really nice. Comes with the true Arch kernel, so you're getting a good spin of Arch.
I'm going to give Garuda GNOME a shot. One of the things I hear most out of people about Garuda is they would love to try the KDE version of it, but they really don't like the way it looks. They don't like the icons. They don't like the backgrounds. They just don't like all the color. That's what I hear most of the time about it. Or it's bloated. Something along those lines. Well, when you go with Garuda GNOME, it doesn't have the icon set that you have on Dragonized, and it's a little bit more subdued. As a matter of fact, I've already downloaded it and installed it, so let's zip on over to the desktop. And as you can currently see, I'm booted up into the desktop. The only thing I have running in the background is OBS. Now, I was really impressed. Without OBS running, this distro idles between 700 and 800 megabytes of resource usage, which is, in my opinion, good for me. Some people want to be around 200 or 300s. I can deal with 700 or 800, especially for somebody that has seen what these people have to deal with Windows 11 just to be on. 3 to 4 gigabytes just to be on a desktop. That's ridiculous. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and let's click on the screen here. I've only downloaded one extension, which is the Dash to Dock, and I've got a lot of my applications already downloaded and ready to go. I still have Fire Dragon down here. I've got Firefox. I've got Files, OnlyOffice, Boxes, VirtualBox, OBS Studio, of course, is running. Kdenlive to do my editing. Screenshot, GIMP, Inkscape, Terminal. Let's see what it's running with just OBS running in the background. HTOP. And with OBS running in the background, it's about 1.57 gigs of the 8 gigabytes I have on this machine. It's just my old IdeaPad. That's what I do most of my creating on. And a lot of people come up in my comments and go, you're doing all of this and you've only got 8 gigabytes of RAM? Why? The whole point of this channel is to show you you don't need something huge. You don't need something over-spec'd just to put Linux on it and create and do things. I run businesses. I create videos for my YouTube channel. Are they as perfect as somebody that's using, $5,000, $6,000 worth of hardware? No, but it works for me. And most of the viewers out there agree that they like the videos that I produce. And if you don't, please give me some suggestions in the comments below. I am open. I am completely open for criticism. Now, I'm going to go ahead and close out of the terminal. Now, one thing I do like is when you boot into it, you get the Garuda welcome screen just like you do on KDE. You've got your Garuda Assistant, your Garuda Gamer. Now, if you open the Garuda Assistant, let's open that up real quick. You've got a lot of tools here that you can use right out of the box. You've got your system update, refresh mirrors, key rings, remove orphan files, clear packages. Now, here's what I really like about this setup. Let's say you go in and you change some config files on an application and you make a mistake. We've all done it, especially if we're in Linux, we've done it. And you've got to get that app back, and you don't want to have to go through the pain of uninstalling, reinstalling, hoping the config files are not there anymore. Just come down here and pick the application. Pick it, or if you want to reset them all, just click all, hit the reset selected configs, and it wipes everything out and goes back to the default, and you're good to go. Now, you've also got BTRFS and Snapper, system components, settings, system specs, and other diagnostics you can use from here. I'm going to go ahead and close out of that. And then you've got Garuda Gamer. This is where you want to come if you want to set up all your gaming stuff. You've got your Steam, whether it be runtime or native, Heroic Games Launcher, Lutris, Bottles, Wine Tricks, Boxtron, Fast Game, SC Controller. What else you got down through here? VLC, Streamlink, Twitch, Graphic User Interface, Xbox Generic Controller. You can get all the drivers and everything for your Xbox. And then your games you can get here. And then, of course, you can get your emulators over here. If you're somebody like me, you like retro gaming, you probably got old Wii games around, or maybe GameCube, PlayStation 2. You can come over here and get all the emulators you need right here. And it goes all the way back to Atari. So that's really nice to have. Let's close out of that and close out of that. And then your settings manager, Garuda boot options, add and remove software. Let's go ahead and click on that, which is your PayMac. Now, before you use this, the first thing I would suggest, if you download Garuda GNOME and you want to put it on a machine or you want to try it in a virtual box, you want to come up here, go to your preferences, of course. You're going to have to put your password in, hit enter, and it's going to bring up this screen. What you want to do is go to third party and enable AUR support. Now, AUR is going to be a lot more stable on Garuda than it is on something like Manjaro. Because with Garuda, you're using a newer kernel. Packages aren't held back like Manjaro does. So when you're using the AR, it's going to be a smoother operation. Now, if you are using Manjaro, you probably ran into problems when you downloaded an application from AUR, because those packages are held back and everything's back just a little bit. You might have some dependency issues there. Also, keep an eye on Manjaro too, because they've been having a lot of issues with their SSL certificates lately. They have problems and they'll send messages out saying, here's a way to bypass it, as opposed to just taking the 5 minutes it takes to update your security certificates. I don't know why Manjaro has such an issue with this. If you don't believe me, go look it up. It's consistent and it's a problem. Now, that's not bashing Manjaro. That's just speaking facts and speaking truth. And then you go over to General and you can come down here and you've got downloads. You can adjust your parallel downloads, number of versions of each packages to keep, things like that, etc. I just freshly updated this, so there won't be any updates available. And the update went smooth, flawless, no issues at all. And I'm getting around in GNOME rather splendidly. And as you can see, I'm actually up to date. The system's up to date. And I do want to point out with my most recent update, we now are on GNOME 43. Now, one of the things I like about GNOME 43 is a lot of the things that you need to access, you can access over here quickly. Airplane mode, your Wi-Fi, you got the little arrow out here, you're balanced. If you wanted to change the performance of your computer, you can go to Performance, or you can go to Power Saver right here with the click of a button without having to go into the settings. And then another thing right here, you've got your speaker right here. We can click on that. You can adjust this. Where do you want it? Speakers, headphones, digital output, sound settings. We can close back out of that. You can also do that with your microphone. You can use your internal microphone, digital input, but I'm using my external microphone right here. And night light, you can turn that on and off. And then of course you can switch from dark mode over to light mode, but I'm going to stay in dark mode. And then of course you can take a screenshot, access all settings from right here. Power's right here. If you wanted to take a screenshot, you just click on that, adjust it to where you want it, and then come down here, click, your screenshot has been taken. Now, I do want to say in the past, I've been relatively hard on GNOME and the desktop environment, but they are getting it together. It is a nice, smooth, and enjoyable desktop to work in. And I do believe multifunction-wise and multitasking-wise, it makes things rather easy. Now, I'm going to go ahead and close out of this, and we're going to look over here. You've got Partition Manager, Quick Access, and then Website, Private Bin, GitLab, Chaotic AUR, IRC, Twitter, Discord, Telegram, Forum. They really knock it out of the park with this little Garuda welcome. It makes things so easy. It really does. And what I really like, after you, let's see if it'll open up. Let me go ahead and show you what we got here. After you install it, you've got the Garuda Setup Assistant. You click OK, and what it'll do is, let me put my password in. It'll make sure that everything's up to date, so we will let it do what it needs to do right here real quick, because it doesn't want you installing any applications on top of an outdated or non-updated system. So let it update the mirrors and let it do its quick update, and I'll show you what I like about this. Okay, it's starting full system upgrade. There's nothing to do. Let's press enter to exit. And it's going to check for NVIDIA drivers. It gives you the Garuda Setup Assistant. Let me maximize this so you can see it. After install and you restart your PC, it automatically brings a pop-up to update your system. Once you update your system, it asks you, do you want to run the Garuda Setup Assistant? So you run it. When you get here, it gives you OS preferences. Do you want to install additional GNOME applications? Printer, scanner, Samba support, install additional wallpapers. Do you need pen testing software? Then you can go to input. It gives you different fonts over here. Software centers. Do you want App Image Launcher? Do you want Octopi, PayMac, Discover, GNOME software? And then kernels. Linux LTS failsafe option. Linux harden. You can install those. Office. It gives you an option to install LibreOffice, Joplin, OnlyOffice, WPS, Free, Yozo, Calligra, Scrooge. I mean, they give you all these. All you got to do is check mark them. And then your browsers, FireDragon, LibreWolf, Firefox, Chromium, Ungoogled Chromium, Vivaldi, email, communication, Telegram and Discord, internet, Qubit torrent for torrent downloads, audio. Do you want Strawberry Player, Lollipop, Audacious, Elisa, LMMS, video, Kdenlive, drag and shortcut, Pitavi, OpenShot, OBS. It gives you all of these options. So you go through here and check mark everything you want. GNOME boxes, VirtualBox, and other. Once you're done, you click OK, it installs everything. Now let me explain something to you. They have this available on the Dragonized version as well. I have never had an issue. Everything that you check mark and bring up to use, downloads, installs, up to date, and you don't have any problems, and it saves you so much time. Because any Linux distro that I put in, the first thing I do is get it set up the way I want it, update it, and then spend time downloading all the applications I need. This takes some of that pain out. This takes and makes that job so much easier. So if you do download this and you do take a look at it and you've never used Garuda, check out the Garuda Setup Assistant. Now I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. Cancel. And it says you can restart the Setup Assistant at any time. Okay. We will close out of that. And I'm going to go ahead and close out of the Garuda Welcome. I want to zip over real quick to Settings and go to the bottom. And we're going to go to About. And it lets you know Garuda, it's a rolling release 64-bit GNOME version 43 windowing system X11. X11 runs smoothly on GNOME 43. I haven't had any issues. I'm not going to go too deep into things up here. You do have your appearance settings right here. You can change from a dark to a light theme. And then, of course, all your backgrounds. And this is actually the background that comes out of the box, which I truly love. So I left it up there. And then notifications, multitasking. You got your regular Linux settings over here. So let's go ahead and open up our application launcher and show you some of the things it comes with out of the box. For email, you got Geary, you got BTRF Assistant, Celluloid, Extension Manager, you got your GNOME utilities, which is disks, image viewers, and then tweaks. You can open up tweaks. And right here, okay, let's continue. Couple settings right here you can adjust. The spin when the laptop lid is closed, over amplification, appearance. It shows you the themes that you're using for all of these. And on your lock screen, you can change that picture if you want to. That's truly up to you. Fonts, you can adjust fonts in here. Keyboard and mouse. Startup apps. Right now, we don't need that. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. And then the Garuda Welcome will pop up. Now, if you don't want Garuda Welcome to pop up anymore on restarts, all you got to do is click remove here. And then you can always go over here and type in Garuda Welcome. And it'll show right there. And you're good to go. And then your Garuda Assistant is already down here on your dock. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of that and come back over here. Then your top bar, you can have weekday on your calendar, which I do, date, seconds, and then you can have week numbers on your calendar. Right here, you've got your calendar. If you wanted it to show the week numbers, you just click that on, and then it would include week numbers right here, 49, 48, 47, and so on. I'm going to go ahead and shut that off. Window title bars, double click to maximize, middle click, title bar buttons. If you don't want those other buttons there, you can of course shut those off. And then placement, you can have them on the right or on the left. That is really up to you. And then your windows, attach modal dialog, center new windows, click to focus. You've got a lot of different things you can do inside of tweaks. So let me close out of that. Open this back up. What else did we miss over here? Logs, archive manager, we don't need that. Garuda Gamer, we went over. Garuda Settings, Garuda System Maintenance, Gestures, Lollipop. And then you've got MPV Player. I use Celluloid, but MPV Player lies underneath that, so I just leave it there. Micro, Octopi, of course. Now, if you haven't used Octopi, it's not hard. A lot of people prefer something like a Paymac. But with Octopi, it's a lot like Synaptic Package Manager. It's a type search install application. So if you come up here and you were looking for something like, I'm trying to think of something that I don't have installed. Let's see if Kate's available. And it's right here. You would just come over here and click. And you would click install. And it would mark it for install. And it would let you know, here are the different things that you can get with those. And once you have those picked out, you just click OK. And then you would click this green check mark. It would install Kate for you. So this is just another way to get applications and software installed on Garuda. Let me go ahead and close. Yes, I really want to quit. Come back over. And then you've got Wi-Fi hotspot, YAD, suspend, hibernate, sound recorder. So it comes with a few different applications out of the box. Most of what you see down here I've installed, but that, guys, is really just a quick look at GNOME 43 and Garuda together.
Cachy OS. Right here, you come to their website. I'll be sure to link that in the description below. And it just basically states a Linux distribution based on Arch Linux. Their goal is to provide you better speed, security, and ease of use. Now, I have praised Garuda. I like Garuda, but some of you out there think Garuda is bloated. If you think Garuda is bloated, Cachy OS is definitely an alternative for you, especially if you want to be on an Arch distribution. Now, if you scroll down here, they got some pictures, and then they've got features, security, and speed. It's a Linux distribution based on Arch. The default Linux kernel is Linux Calcul, which is the Arch Linux stock kernel, plus the Calcul CPU scheduler. That kind of helps with resource management and also takes care of making operations inside the operating system a little bit more snappier. But what is beautiful about it, they do have a kernel manager inside the operating system. So if you want to change kernels, they make it pretty simple for you. It comes in KDE Plasma. It's got a great installer, kernel support, and a better browser. It's the Cachy OS browser. Now, what's great about it is based on Firefox, but kind of with that catchy feel, and they put their own twist to it. Plus, they got some pretty awesome themes. Out of the box, it is a very beautiful operating system, so we'll look at that as well. And it's got the most powerful features. The installer will auto-detect which microarchitecture your machine has got. If it's x86-64v3 is detected, it will automatically use the optimized packages for that. And then, of course, the Linux kernels, security, and then if you like what you see, you can donate. You can help them out on PayPal, Bitcoin, however you want to help them. And, of course, it's supported by FastHost. And then you can follow them up on their Discord or on Telegram. So I'm going to scroll back to the top here. And then up here, you've got home and then try Cachy OS. If you download Cachy OS, you can come over here. It downloads on SourceForge. It took me about 20 minutes on a 50 gigabyte download connection. So that wasn't too bad for SourceForge. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and switch on over to the desktop. Now, if you download Cachy OS, throw it on a USB or open it in a virtual machine, this is the screen you get. I love the theme of it. I really do. I like the subdued. I like the blues. You get a single panel down on the bottom. Now, one thing I did do right off the bat is I went into edit mode and I made this panel a little bigger because out of the box, it comes a little smaller. I think it comes about like that. And that's a little small for me. It might work for you, but I have to wear glasses as is, so I went ahead and ramped it up a little bit so I could see it better. But even doing that, it still has a really good look to it. So let's go ahead and close out of that. And you've got your standard KDE background that once you flip it into a dark mode, it changes all the accents. Now, if you come down to the bottom here, you've got date and time, obviously. You've got your hidden icons, which is your notifications, clipboard, night color control, lock key status, internet, USBs connected, sound, and then, of course, your updates. And if you come over here, you've got Dolphin. Let's go ahead and open it up so you can take a peek at it. And like I said, I really love the icon theme they're using here. Some of you might not like it, but I like the more minimalistic looking icon sometimes, especially if you've got a good theme going on in the background. Like this one right here, you've got a little bit of transparency over here. And if you wanted to, of course, you could hide some of these because you don't need them. Let's go ahead and hide it. You get a little bit more room there. And if you wanted to make them icons just a little bigger, you could. Let's pump them up. And that gives you a little better look at the file manager. Dolphin is a great file manager. It's a little bit more feature-packed than some of your other file managers. You've got all your usual suspects over here. And, of course, you got your home folders right here. So let's go ahead and close out of that. Then you come down here. You've got the Cachy browser. Let's go ahead and open that up. And like I said, it's got a Firefox base. And when it opens up, you get a nice view of it. Let's go ahead and maximize that. And I do want to see what search engine you're using. So I want to go ahead and put in eBuzz Central, and let's see what they're going to use. And it's doing the search, and it looks like it's going to be Woogle. It's going to be Woogle search, which is great. You get a lot of the same results that you're going to get with Google, but you're not going to have all the tracking and all the stuff in the background that keeps an eye on you and your data and what you're doing. So I kind of like that. So if you download it, definitely take a look at it and see what you think of Woogle. You can always switch it if you want to. You can switch over to Brave or Sear X or something like that. That's completely up to you. That's the beauty of Linux. Let's go ahead and close out of that. And then down here, you've got the Discover Software Center, which I don't really use too much. I'll end up using Octopi. So probably what I'll do is go ahead and unpin that. And then you've got your settings right here. Let's go ahead and open that up. Once that opens up, let's go ahead and maximize that. And like with any KDE, you can come over here to appearance and change it if you want to. I'm going to leave it on Breeze Dark because I like what's going on here. It looks like they got the Cachy Nord is what we're using, a simple dark theme. And then you can change your application styles and things over here. You've got workspace behavior, startup and shutdown, software update, removable storage, input devices, everything you need over here. So let's go ahead and close out of that. And let's come over here to the application manager. Let's go ahead and click on it and see kind of what we have out of the box here. You've got all applications, development, you've got Qt Assistant, of course, your icon browser, internet, Cachy browser, you've got your multimedia, you've got settings, Kavanta manager, YAD settings. They got YAD out of the box. That is awesome. If you all don't know about YAD, it's a great tool. You can come over here and pretty much customize width of window dialog, height of your windows, and really change a few things in here that makes the system a little bit more yours. But I do recommend that if you do download it and take it for a test drive, check out YAD settings, preferably in a live mode, because sometimes you want to get the hang of something before you actually install it. So let's go back over here. Let's go down to settings again, then system. You've got Cachy OS Hello, which you open that up. This is what gets introduced when you boot up. I closed it out a while ago. It's got documentation. It's got README, release info, wiki. You got your forums and software right here, project, get involved, development. And then, of course, you could launch the installer. And if you launch that installer, it says Calamari's install type, offline or online. Let's go ahead and just say online. And what that'll do is it'll give you a few different options when you're installing the operating system that you won't get with the offline version. And it opens up the install log in the background, and then it opens up the Cachy OS installer, which is Calamari's. You've got welcome, location, keyboard, partitions, desktop you want to use, packages, users, summary, install, and finish. If you used Calamari's, you'll be very familiar with the setup that you have here, other than it's giving you the option of what desktop you want to use. Quite honestly, I would stick with the KDE. That's my personal opinion. That's something for you to take a look at as well. Let's go ahead and close that. Yes, I want to quit it. And let's close the install log. And then we can come back down here to system. You've got Cachy OS Hello, Kernel Manager. This is where you're going to manage your kernels. Now, you will get a list of kernels in here. You've got your Cachy Linux Boar ITO. You can just go down through here. Right now, you're running the Cachy OS, Linux Cachy OS 6.0.9. And then you can go down through here, and there's a lot of different. There's a Linux Zen, then your TTLTO. So you can pick whatever kernel you want to use, configure it, and execute it in here. And then if something does go wrong, you can pop back up and it'll let you know that you can change it if you want to. You've got stables, optimized, long-term, Zen. So you've got a lot of different kernels that you can choose over here. So that's one of the things I like about it. Let's close out of this. Let's go ahead and close the Hello out because we're not utilizing it anymore. Come back down here, go back to system, and then you've got your Cachy OS package installer. This is something kind of what you get in Garuda. After you get done installing, it gives you an option to install a bunch of packages. So let's go ahead and maximize this. Right here, if you want to install audio packages, you come down here and pick which audio packages you want to install. Then you can minimize that, go to browsers. If you like the Cachy browser, but you want to go with something like Firefox instead, you would click on it. And then you could come down to graphics, the same thing. You could get Blender, Darktable, Digicam, GIMP. Just go through here and select all the applications that you want. Once you've done that, you just pop down here, click install, and they install them all at once. It makes things a lot easier. After using a tool like this on Garuda, I didn't know how much I enjoyed using it until I had to use something that didn't have it, and I had to go through and download all these applications separately. So let's go ahead and close out of that. Come back down here. We're going to go to System. You've got Discover, GR Sync, Install, KDE Partition Manager, KSysGuard. Let's go check Console out real quick. I want to see what kind of resources we're using. Let's go HTOP. They don't have that. Let's go top. Let's go ahead and maximize that. And let's go ahead and make that a little bit bigger so you can see. Out of the 3 gigabytes I have issued to this virtual machine, we're using about 883 at rest, which isn't too bad for a KDE desktop. It's running about the same as what you're getting with a base GNOME install nowadays. It's not an XFCE. It's not an LXQT. You know, it's not going to give you a lightweight feel down to about 300 or 400, megabytes, but I mean less than a gig. It's definitely light to me. So I'm going to go ahead and close back out of that. Yes, let's close the window. Come back down to System. And we had the console, Octopi. I'm not going to spend too much time on Octopi. It's a lot like Synaptic Package Manager. It's a type search install program. You would come up here and put in something like Kdenlive. It would bring it up right there. All you'd have to do is click on it and click install. And it'll let you know over here, these are some other optional things that you can add to it. If you wanted to pick those, you could, like record my desktop. If you wanted to pick that, media info, click OK. Once that's selected and you have those other optional items selected, just come up here, click the check mark, and it installs it for you. So it makes things really simple. So let's go ahead and close out of Octopi and come back down. System, we've already looked at that, and utilities, emoji selector, calculator, Kvantum manager, text editor, and of course Vim. I am very impressed. 4 months ago when I looked at this operating system, it was great. It seemed to be snappy. It seemed to be quick. I just wanted to give it a little bit more time to mature. And with this current release, I think they've hit a home run. If you're somebody that likes Arch, you're somebody that doesn't want to use Manjaro or Garuda, or maybe you just want to try something different in the Arch domain, this is definitely an operating system I'd recommend. Go download it, throw it on a USB, put it in a virtual machine, take it for a test drive. I don't really think you have anything to lose because it is a solid distribution. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below.
Please do me a favor before you leave today. Please like, subscribe, or follow my channel. The more likes I get keeps me in YouTube's algorithm, which means the information you just saw in this video, if it was helpful to you, it can be helpful to somebody else. And subscribe. Doesn't cost anything. And if you end up not liking me, you can always unsubscribe. If you like the channel and enjoy the videos that we are producing, we are on 3 separate platforms, YouTube, Utreon, and Odyssey. And you can become members on all 3. On YouTube, it's only 99 cents. On Utreon, it's $2.99. And on Odyssey, it's $4. You can also buy us a cup of coffee, maybe go over to PayPal and throw us a donation, or go to Patreon and become a patron to the channel. All those links will be in the description below. As always, thank you so much for watching my video, and I will see you in the next video.